Welcome back to another episode of the Red October podcast. I mean, the Outsider Sports Baseball podcast. But we're all pulling for John's Phillies here. Team that's a lot of fun. And I've been teasing John past few days with I have a hot take about the Phillies, and I kind of want to start it off with that because the Phillies right now are probably the most fun team to watch in the postseason. They are just they might even be considered the most likable team in the playoffs right now. And I got a hot take about that. The only reason the Phillies are liked by anybody outside of Philadelphia, the only reason is Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper has turned himself into possibly a top three most likable player in baseball. He is somebody that is just incredible to watch, really, really fun. And you know what? I think he's the only reason anybody even bothers rooting for Philadelphia outside of the Philly area because he's somebody that people want to see win. All he does is have passion and excitement for the game. Nobody watches the Phillies for Trey Turner. Even Kyle Schwarber, like, yeah, the home runs are fun, and Castellanos hitting a home run when something bad happens is, a nice little party trick. But Bryce Harper embodies passion for the game. So he's the reason why people think Philly is as fun and as enjoyable to watch as they are.
I think I can agree with you on that. I mean, I think people still watch it for Turner because I think he's fun to watch too. And I think he's
To the level of Harper, though,
not to level Harper. I mean, Harper has a whole nother thing
even
going
close to
on.
the level of Harper.
No, I don't know. You can argue.
We're not watching for Alec Bohm.
No, you're not watching Alec Boehm, I guess, but you're a lot of people. I guess a lot of people who aren't Phillies fans and maybe who aren't even particularly like big baseball fans are probably they know Bryce Harper.
Like, I personally hate everything about the city of Philadelphia. It is my least favorite place in the country. I think it is a cesspool, and that is mostly because Giants and Eagles, but I've never had a good interaction regarding that city. But I just can't help but not want to see the Phillies succeed a little bit. And I think it's because of Harper, because he does you can't say a negative thing about him. Even going back to his Nationals days, he was a bit of a hothead, but it was all passion.
I mean, he plays hard. He literally leaves his like heart on the field, like blood, sweat, tears. He goes all in. I mean, you can see it when he plays, when he's like base running, when he's up at bat, when he's playing first base now. You can see the passion he has for the game, the love he has for the game. And it helps a lot that he's really, really good at playing, baseball. But I think a lot of teams, like people also maybe root for Phillies. If you look at the teams who like the alternatives, because I mean, I don't think a lot of people, the Braves, the top dog. No one really people always they want to go against the top dog, the Braves. They think people, and then you look at the Astros. No, I think the only people who like Astros are people from Houston. I
Everybody
mean,
hates the Astros.
everyone hates the
Cheaters.
Astros.
Cheaters.
I mean, you look at the
Cheaters.
alternative teams, and like I think the next team up is like the Phillies. I mean, because they're good, but they're not, they're not at the top, but they're good.
You're
And
scrappy.
then, yeah, scrappy. And I think people like that. They like kind of like the underdog kind of thing. Even though going into the season, the Phillies weren't really supposed to be the underdog, but they turned into the underdog anyway, which I think it seems to suit Phillies teams when they're the underdog.
Yeah.
I mean, you look back at when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, they they were the underdogs going in. Like for
We,
some
we don't
reason,
have to
even
talk
though they
about
were the underdog.
we don't gotta talk about that. In my mind, that never happened. I've blocked that out. It never happened.
But I think the underdog role, the kind of thing, suits Philly, and I think a lot of fans of the sport can get behind it, especially when your alternatives are the Braves or the Astros,
The Dodgers.
Dodgers, teams like that. But I mean, now you got teams like the Orioles and stuff coming up, who I think they're very easy to root for. And honestly, if the
This is the
Phillies don't
one
make
year I can root for the Orioles because next year I have to view them as like actual like division competition. But this year they were just a fun team that succeeded, and I can root for them to win and would not feel guilty about it.
exactly, and I think honestly, if the Phillies don't make it and the Orioles are still going, I'm almost want to root for the Orioles. Because I mean,
With
I've
the
been
D
high on them
backs.
all year. I like them. Good young team.
Yeah.
I don't want to see them win.
But you want to see the Phillies win
I
more.
want to see the Phillies win more, but maybe a Phillies Orioles, World Series there with the Phillies winning. That'd be nice.
So in round one, though, we had all sweeps. Minnesota swept Toronto. Texas swept Tampa. Arizona swept Milwaukee. Philly, they swept the Marlins, much to my disappointment. Sorry. All game, 3 game set. Each team won 2-0. Is there an issue with the format? Are there too many teams? Like, what is really the issue here? Is there an issue with the format?
Okay, I found this on the web. Or is there an issue with the format? Are there too many?
I don't know
Your
why Siri's
It's not a
popping up.
problem.
Siri wants to get
Oh, it
on
is
the
a problem.
podcast here.
I feel like the Red
I
Sox broadcast. But yeah, so
I'm
is there an issue with the format surrounding the playoffs? Because it seems like a lot of teams that maybe weren't deserving got in, or like you can say Arizona beat Milwaukee, but like it just seems like it just wasn't a competitive early wild card round.
I mean, I'm not necessarily sure it's broken. I mean, I think part of the reason, people say that, numbers are up, people watching baseball this year because of the pitch clock and all those other rule changes, but I think a lot of it's because of the extended playoffs, and I think it's because you get a lot, more exciting baseball at the end of the season.
Yeah,
Because I think until like the last game or whatever, like they were like almost everything was up for grabs. Like there was like 4 spots up for grabs, like almost until like the last game,
yeah,
and that keeps people watching. It's exciting for the fans of
it
those
does.
teams, and it makes for good baseball. I mean, I think it's you get all the sweeps and stuff. I mean, I think that you kind of hope you want to drag the series out a little bit longer, but you also want the series to be quick because you want to get into the other games, the games that kind of mean a little bit more.
Right. And you
But
did bring up an interesting point though with the pitch clock because Sandy Alcantara from the Marlins, he's getting Tommy John surgery now. And we've seen an increase in Tommy John surgery needed this season compared to past seasons. And a lot of the players are attributing it to the pitch clock. A lot of players need it now because they feel like their body isn't even able to recover as much because they have to throw so many hard effort pitches, in a quicker succession without giving them any type of reprieve, letting them get their bodies settled in and ready to go. Do you think that that has anything to do with injuries? And then
I
you can
I
continue your point on.
I think absolutely it does. I mean, you look at like what's changed, right? And then you look at it, and that obviously the correlation you would make. And I also think with the pitch clock too. I don't watching the Phillies game the other day, and JT had to like call a timeout so the pitch clock that run out on Kimbrel last night. I had to call it, and it's like I don't know why you want to pitch clock in playoffs. I
You
think
should
it just doesn't make any sense.
whoever's idea it should be banned from the sport.
It should. And it's just I think if anything, that's one of the problems with the playoffs is that you have a pitch clock. But I think with the playoffs, a big problem with the playoffs is I think after the wild card round, all those wild card games, I think they should reseed and stuff. Because like you saw a lot of fans. I don't know because you saw a lot of fans complaining about the season stuff. But it's like, do you think they
A
should
bracket's a
reseed?
bracket. You can't reseed a bracket.
But why does it make sense? Why does the number one seed have a chance to either play the 4 or 5th seed, and then the number 2 seed either plays the 3rd or 6th seed? Like it doesn't make too much sense.
It's just how it's always been, and it's baseball. It's a series. It's not just one game. So the higher seeded team should be able to beat the lower seeded team in a series theoretically. I don't think seeding is the issue. I think it's more the level of play. Like the Marlins really should never have been a playoff team. The Blue Jays should never have been a playoff team, and now they are, and it lessens the competition. But moving now out of the wild card round, we're in the divisional round now. Houston, they're the 2 seed. They lead 1-0 over Minnesota. And on those two teams, I got 2 questions for you. For Houston, how long can their dominance last? This postseason run, this historic run we've seen from them. How long can this last? And then Minnesota, can that 1-2 Pablo Lopez Sonny Gray punch, can that save them now that they're down 1-0 in a best of 5 series?
I just don't think that 1-2 punch is enough to save the Twins right now because you're down one
I
game.
agree.
And honestly, the Astros just have a better team. They have they have the pitching to back it up there. And I know we
The
said it
offense.
last, they have the offense. And I know we said it last week. We were talking about how pitching is important in playoffs and the Astros
Yeah.
just have better pitching. Now, I mean, I don't know if the Astros can keep this up. I don't know if they can, have a repeat of last year and go back to the World Series again, because I think they're playing to I think there's some better teams on the AL this come around that can beat them. I mean, obviously, I think definitely the Orioles or the Rangers can definitely put an end to it. I think
Yeah.
I think either one.
Yeah, that would be great, but I don't know if it'll end anytime soon. This dominance is
But
just all time.
they have the pitching. If that's they have the pitching, they have
Jordan
the
postseason,
offense.
Jose Altuve with another home run.
He's
Jordan Alvarez. Just there's something about October and the Astros. Trash cans or no, they're just different. They're built different and they know how to play. And if the Phillies were able to do their job last year, maybe this would have ended. But
it's
the Phillies,
just it's tough. I mean, the Phillies could have hit him last year. They just
nobody
couldn't
can
hit
hit them
him.
in October.
They can't. No one can hit them. And
No,
you kind of want to look to say
yeah,
something bad about the Astros and something negative about them because
they're just
I'm not
so
a fan of
good.
them, but it's like it's so hard to find anything bad to say about the Astros other
Yeah,
than that they
dirty,
cheated.
dirty cheaters.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, but other than that, and that's kind of that's in the past now. A
Never
lot
in
of
the
people would
past.
say they paid their price for
Until
it, but
until
that's up
every
for
single
debate.
player on that team is out of the league, it will never be in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I mean, you say a majority of at least the baseball, at least on like the network people and sports writers are kind of done with it. They want to leave it alone.
That came from up top. They
So
got the command
they
from
got
the
their thing, but I
higher ups.
mean, and I mean, us saying stuff's not going to change it, so you just kind of
No,
gotta let it go. But I mean, that's the only thing you have Nate to say. But other than that, like the Astros are a good team. They're a
yeah,
scary team in October. I mean, if you're looking for a team that has a good chance of winning it, it would be the Astros. I mean,
yeah, for real. But the next series, Texas is up 1-0 on Baltimore, the 1 seed Baltimore to the 5 seed Rangers. For Texas, can Jordan Montgomery continue his great postseason pitching? We saw him in the wild card round. We're going to see him again tonight. Yankees cast off somebody that the Yankees literally said they didn't think he could handle the postseason, that he couldn't pitch in October. So he never really got much action in his few years with the Yankees. He's pitched incredible for the Rangers. Can he keep it rolling? And then on the flip side for Baltimore, can they get a big hit? We saw yesterday that Baltimore had so many opportunities to get that big hit to possibly take over and win that game. And double play after strikeout, double play. They just couldn't string together a few hits to get a run in. They couldn't get that timely big hit. Can we expect Baltimore to maybe be able to get that?
I mean, for let's see, for both. I mean, I think Montgomery can continue it because I think in the playoffs, it's more about you kind of carry that momentum, that energy from game to game, series to series, and the Rangers they're going. I mean, they're coming off a sweep of the Rays, and they're going. And then I think what's hurting Baltimore is, that I think it's that bye there they get that week off kind of,
Right,
and I think you can see that hurt a lot of the top seed teams like the bye. I mean, because you look at it, Dodgers lost, Braves lost, Orioles lost. The only team it didn't affect was the Astros. Was that
right.
off? But you look at it, and I think it's part of it. I think a big part of it is that the Astros are hot. They're going in. They kept their routine. They got it going. They're keeping the same energy going forward. And Montgomery, I mean, that's about it. I mean, you're going to go into it, and he's probably going to keep pitching good. I mean, a lot of times when you see when guys do good in the playoffs and they have a good run, they can keep that going. It's like you see it happen all the time. They keep that energy going through the
Yeah,
whole time they're playing. So I mean, there's no doubt about it in my mind that he can keep it up. And the big question for the Orioles is if they can get back in the groove again and kind of get
that
going
that that
again.
stolen base in the top of the ninth yesterday was just such a stupid decision. You had a bad jump. Aaron Hicks was already behind in the count. You needed him to work it. And it just changed his whole approach. The pitcher, Hicks, both their approaches changed because the pitcher, after the runner was thrown out stealing second, Hicks, all he did was try to hit a home run to tie it up. And the pitcher, he just went right after Hicks because he knew that if he stayed away, Hicks wasn't touching the ball. So it just deflated any chance the Orioles had of getting that timely hit. But, next up, we got Arizona versus the Dodgers. Arizona, the 6th seed, leads 1-0 over the 2 seed Dodgers in this best of 5. What went wrong with Clayton Kershaw? Before I even touch Arizona, what went wrong in Clayton Kershaw? Because that outing yesterday, that was prime postseason Kershaw, who outside of that magical World Series run has never pitched well in the postseason.
I mean, honestly, I'm gonna go back to the thing off that week off. I think kind of kills these teams.
A third of an inning, 6 hits, 6 runs, a walk, no strikeouts. His ERA is 162.
Is that something that has to be a record?
Just incredibly bad. How do the Dodgers bounce back from this?
Well, I think they just gotta forget about it. They gotta like think that game one never happened. You're going in. They gotta think of it as like almost a fresh series because you got to put that behind you. Because if you don't put it behind you and you can't like put that in the in the rearview mirror, like
Right.
your morale's gone, the energy's low, and it'll even maybe take the fans out of it. And I think and even though like lesser the fans are still important in baseball, but not as much as in other sports, but you want to ride the fans' energy and stuff. So they kind of gotta find a way to put it behind them and then get the fans pumped up.
Yeah.
What they got to do is next game they got to get out ahead. They got to come out swinging.
They got to come out swinging, guns
come out
blazing.
swinging. They got to be explosive. They got to get runs on the board early. Get runs on board early and just make the Diamondbacks have to fight back.
Now, the last series that we have in this divisional round, Philly, the 4 seed, at the 1 seed Atlanta. Now, John, 1 game in, who's leading this series?
Oh, my Phillies, of course.
So, Red October, am I right?
Red October, man, can't beat it.
So, for Atlanta, before we even touch on Philly, because I want you to really delve into what you're seeing from them. How do you think Atlanta can fare playing down? They've been the dominant team in all of baseball pretty much all season long. Now that they're facing some real adversity, being down in a playoff series, the Phillies just need to win 2 more games. The Braves need to win 3. Can Atlanta make a comeback? Do they have the gall? Do they have it in them? Do they have that dog in them to be down and come back?
I mean, it's hard to say.
Deflated.
It's hard to say because I think just the team, the fans, like they weren't used like all year. They were this buzzsaw that all the other teams have run into, and now they're finally the ones running into kind of the buzzsaw here with the Red October Phillies here, and you wonder if they can mentally sit there and handle it and come back with it. And I mean, you look at it, I think their manager, like they changed their lineup. That from how they changed their lineup, they had a different lineup than they had all year, and you're wondering like why are they changing stuff here? And it's like I think you might be too late now to go back and fix it because I mean you're already down a game, and I mean even if they win the next game, which is going to be hard because they're going up against Wheeler, but even if they win that next game, you're going back to Philly, like you're going to Philly, and when and
nobody
when it's playoff
goes
time
to
in
Philly and
Philly,
leaves alive.
you can't, especially when it's playoff time. Like you're done, and I mean I don't know, and I mean especially if they lose this next game, it's over. Like you can.
Like, if anybody watched that wild card series, again, both games really, because it was 3-game set, was hosted in Philly. That atmosphere must have been incredible. Just everybody was vibing, and that kind of takes me to my question about Philly. The Red October, right? But if the Phillies, and really when the Phillies do start to struggle, let's say, they lose game 2 in Atlanta, they lose game 3 in Philly, now they're down 2-1. The Braves could look to take the series in Philadelphia. How would the Phillies and their fans, respond when the vibes are bad? Can they keep this incredible energy going even when they're struggling? Or well, can they get kind of down to themselves because the fans and the team are kind of playing off of each other? So what happens when one of them falters?
Well, I don't think you're going to lose the fans. I think it's playoff time. I mean, Phillies fans like they turn it up they turn it up when it's playoff time with any sport. So I think they're going to, even if the team's struggling, the fans are going to show up,
Right.
and I think they're going to carry that team, like the fans, just like they did with Trey Turner. They're going to carry that team. They're going to bring the energy back. They're going to get that team pumped up. And honestly, even if the team's struggling, I don't think they don't want to let these fans down. They're not going to let these fans down. They're going to play as hard as they can, as best as they can. I just, even if they do struggle, I think, if one struggles, someone's going to pick them back up. I don't think it really matters if they struggle or not. They're going to keep that same energy. You might lose at the game, you might lose
Right.
energy that game that they lose, but like the next game, they're going to show up just as maybe even more than the last.
So now just give me your complete and utter thoughts on this Phillies team. How's their bullpen? How's their rotation looking? Their offense? Who's hot? Who's not? Who's struggling? And who's really carrying the team? Just give us a full insight into the mind of a Phillies fan right now in this incredible run.
Well, right now, I mean, you're looking at it. You look like you had a great game from Nola, great game from Wheeler. You're hoping for another great game from Wheeler coming up. Like, I mean, Harper is playing as good as you thought he was going to play. I think he already has at least, I think, a home run or two already. And then you're looking at someone young stepping up. Bryson Stott's been stepping up. I mean, he had that grand slam that really put the nail in the coffin there against the Marlins, and he's been coming up good, getting good at bats. I think he walked yesterday to get the bases loaded, coming back from like an 0-2 count. So he's stepping up. You got Trey Turner who's stepping up now, but there's a lot of guys I'm worried about is Boehm and Castellanos kind of need to step up and hit. Like
Right.
Boehm just does not look good in his at bats. He doesn't look good, and Castellanos just needs to take better hacks at the ball. It's those two guys, and if those two guys, start hitting, pulling their weight, I mean, I don't know if anyone can really, come close to stopping them like offensive wise. Now you'll talk about their bullpen. I mean, it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Like their pitching overall is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, it's almost like I said earlier, you got the good games from Nolan and Wheeler. That's almost a surprise to me because like they've been up and down all year, and it's like you didn't know as a Phillies fan what Wheeler, what Nola you were to get going into the playoffs here, and it looks like you're going to get you know good Aaron Nola, good Wheeler here and stuff, and then Suarez started off pretty well yesterday. Their bullpen doesn't look too bad. I still worry though when if you get into like a late series and they don't get the series over with early on. I don't know how they're gonna stack up in like a prolonged series where they have to kind of come back a little bit with the bullpen and stuff because I think you're running out of pitchers and Rob Thompson just he used a lot of pitchers last night. He used a lot of pitchers. So and it's like if they don't win
Yeah,
the
what did
next
Real Muto
game,
say that they were treating it like Game 7 of the World Series?
yeah. But I mean, I guess it's important to get that first win though. It's
You
very
need that,
important.
especially on the road in Atlanta.
Yeah, but you just hope that that doesn't come back to bite them. And, someone's not available when they
Yeah,
need them to be available, or someone's tired and they just don't pitch as best as they can. But I mean, but their hitting is they're really hitting. And if you get Boehm hitting and Castellanos hitting, like especially Castellanos how he's hitting like for most of the year, I think I don't think it really matters too much about their pitching. But
I mean it's Zach Wheeler versus Max Fried in Game 2.
that's what you want. I mean, I think that's the matchup you want there.
Although, I mean, who's the ace on this staff right now for the Phillies? Who's that one guy?
You got to go Zach Wheeler's that guy.
Really?
I would
Not
say Zach Wheeler.
not even Ranger?
No,
Right?
Ranger. I'm not sure because he had a few bad games this year, and I don't
He
know.
did,
It
but
doesn't
like
seem
he
the
was that
same.
guy you guys tabbed to start Game 1.
I think that was just because Nola and Wheeler weren't available.
You
And
think they
and
would?
he was good last year in the playoffs. Like he
I mean,
was.
I feel like Ranger Suarez though is a very underrated arm, and I really like Suarez. Now, obviously, you want Wheeler. I mean, Nola struggled pretty for a good portion of this year too, hasn't he?
He showed a lot. That's what I'm saying. When you're going in, you didn't know what Nola you were gonna get. You like you didn't know if you're gonna get the old Nola of years gone where he's lights out, and that's what
Right.
we got. If you're gonna get like what Nola's been this past year, where it's just been give up home run after home
Yeah.
run. Just you don't know. And then Wheeler even had rough up and down, but Wheeler's kind of been the ace of this Phillies team this whole year.
How much more does he have on his contract?
Uh,
So I
I'm
believe
not sure.
Nola's a free agent after this year.
I think he's either a free agent after this year or he has one more year left.
Because I
Because I
know
think
that's
him
running
and
out because they
Nola's,
started.
I know Nola's up. Nola's
Yeah.
up this year.
So the Phillies need to figure some stuff out with their pitching. But now let's go series by series. So we're going to start off with Minnesota Houston. Again, Houston up 1-0. Their next pitching matchup is Pablo Lopez versus Framber Valdez. Who wins this series and in how many games?
I honestly, I'm thinking that it's just going to be a clean sweep with the Astros. I think they're just
I'm
going
right
to.
there with you.
I
Houston
think
in
it's
three.
going to be a clean sweep. I mean, you didn't ask me last. Flipped over you skipped over me last week about who I thought was going to win with the Blue Jays Twins, and I was going to say the Twins. So, but you skipped over me. But I thought they were good enough to beat the Blue Jays, but I don't think they're good enough to. Maybe I don't think they're good enough to beat the Astros. Not even get one game on them.
All right, so I think we both agree Houston in three. Now the next one is Texas Baltimore. Texas up 1-0 on Baltimore. The second game pitching matchup is going to be Jordan Montgomery versus Grayson Rodriguez, the rookie. Who wins and in how many games?
I think Orioles win.
I
Four
wish you were right. I hope
four
you're right.
games. Yeah, I think
Four
Orioles
games.
win 4 games.
So the Orioles
I
now win the
think
next three.
I think they're gonna come back win the next three.
See, I really wish the Orioles win. I'm going Rangers in four.
Rangers.
Rangers in five.
Rangers in five. Okay, I can get. I can. I
Rangers in
can see
five.
that.
I just, I think that they're starting to get hot at the right time, and that's always something scary to look at. Next one, Diamondbacks at Dodgers. Diamondbacks lead 1-0. Game two pitching matchup: Zach Gallen versus Bobby Miller. Who wins? How many games?
Honestly, I want to say Diamondbacks just clean sweep the Dodgers because I think
Want to say it, but will you say it? Is that what you
I'm
really?
gonna say it. I think the Diamondbacks are just their offense, like offensively, are just on fire. And I think even though I don't know if they have the pitching
Right.
to go through it, I think it doesn't matter because I think they're gonna score so many runs. It's not gonna matter if their pitching's good or bad. And honestly, if they get over this hump with Bobby Miller, I mean, like, is the Dodgers pitching that much more dangerous after that? I mean, you got through Kershaw, you get through Bobby Miller, like is it really do they have
Yeah.
to really worry about anyone else after that? I mean, especially if they win this game. I mean, like, I feel like it's a clean sweep. I mean, you have Corbin Carroll who's playing out of his mind.
He has really shined in October.
And honestly, if the Diamondbacks keep going on, you're looking at like postseason MVP there.
So I think the Dodgers will end up winning in five. I just think that they're going to be too much to handle. They're going to get so mad at this loss. And the Diamondbacks will be back next year, but I think that this is where it ends for them. I wish it didn't. I'd like to see them keep going.
I'm thinking they're going to keep going for it.
I I I
you're
would
getting it
love to see
wrong
it.
here.
I would love to see it. I just don't know, and I do think the Dodgers end up winning in five just because I think they just have the better team. Now for the final one, Phillies Atlanta. Philly up 1-0. And now before you answer, I'm gonna give my thoughts. I think this series goes 4 games. Yeah, 4 games. And I think a team who has red in their colors will win. Right? Team has had success before, has even made a World Series in the past couple years. I think the Phillies win in four. I just think that they are hot at the right time. And if the two hottest teams in the playoffs meet in the World Series, you're looking at a Rangers Phillies World Series. And I think that would be really fun to watch.
Be fun to watch. I think I'm gonna go 4 games too, with the Phillies winning it.
Oh, you had me there. I thought you were gonna go 4 games
Think
with the Braves.
no, no, because then I'd be a fake fan again.
Yeah, you would be.
I can't be a fake fan again.
Be right on you accusing
Phillies for everything.
Red October, Red
Red
October.
October, Red October, man.
And obviously, we said that matchup was Wheeler versus Freed.
Yeah, that's gonna be a close game.
This should be a
Honestly,
fun
it could go
series to
either
watch.
way. I feel like it can be either way.
And we'll keep following. Next time we all speak, it's going to be the championship round. We're going to know the 4 teams left, and we're going to be picking who's going to make the World Series at that point. Here's hoping it's Baltimore and Philly, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna lock. Should I
I
lock
have
my
a
pick in
nice
already as Philly?
size future from April on the Orioles to win the World Series. We'll make a good chunk of change. You know what I'm saying?
If they win, are you gonna share?
Am I going to share the money? No, absolutely not. But I'll say thank you guys for all the support for that one. But
Honorable mention there.
that'll do it here for John. I hope your Phillies do win, and I
Oh,
hope
they're
my
gonna.
Yankees make it back to the promised land one day.
They will. They will.
Hopefully. But that'll
If
do it
Judge
here
stays healthy.
for the Outsider Sports Baseball Podcast. Keep tuning into the other stuff. We got hockey and football going in full swing now. Going to be week 5 of the NFL season. Going to cover that going into week 6. Colts Report
Eagles.
Weekly's got some big news this week, so keep your ears out for that. But that'll do it here. Thanks for listening. Keep tuning in.